Hello, and thank you for joining me today. Well, this is the Wednesday, June the 9th edition of our video devotionals. We appreciate you being with us today. And today, like the last couple of days, we've been getting these up later than we normally have. 98, 99% of the time we've done these, of course, in the morning. So we've just had an unusual schedule this week, and we're back in High Point. So we are getting back to what we consider our normal schedule now, I guess. So at any rate, here we are. It's about 4:30 in the afternoon, and we'll get these uploaded today. But I hope your Wednesday's gone well. Again, middle part of the work week, and that means you're halfway through the work week. Kids, I believe, are for the most part already out of school, so we don't really need to, I guess, mention that any longer. But at any rate, I'm going to give you the devotion today, and we'll be back, I think, on schedule tomorrow to begin in the mornings again. Okay. So today we're going to have a simple thought here. We're going to be in Psalm 144, and we're going to be in verse number 8, 9, and 10. So if you want to follow along, we'll give you a chance to find that. But hopefully, if you're able to attend Wednesday evening Bible study tonight, we hope you can do that. And I think most churches are pretty much at the getting back to their most normal of schedules that they've had before the pandemic. There are some exceptions, but for the most part, I think things are getting back. So hopefully you can get back to church if you physically are able, and I think that's going to be good, and it's good for you to be there with God's people. Okay, notice Psalm 144, verse number 8. It says this: Whose mouth speaketh vanity, and their right hand is a right hand of falsehood. Notice verse 9. This is really the key verse I want to zero in on today. I will sing a new song unto thee, O God. Upon a psaltery and an instrument of 10 strings will I sing praises unto thee. It is he that giveth salvation unto kings, who delivereth David his servant from the hurtful sword. Going back to verse 9, I will sing a new song. Now, we could have just read that verse, could have just read that phrase, but I wanted to see the context in which that expression is found. I will sing a new song, okay? And of course, it mentions the psaltery and the instrument of 10 strings, and it mentions the fact that it's for the purpose of praise. Now, we get that. And that verse can stand alone pretty much anywhere you could find that in the book of Psalms. It could stand alone anywhere in the Bible as far as that goes. But before that, it was talking about this mouth that speaketh vanity. Certainly, that's not speaking of God's people. Certainly, of course, it's not speaking of God, but it's speaking of those who would not know God. Many of the things that the people of God, what they say, of course, is of truth, based on the truth and so on. But the people who don't know God, this is where you see this idea of speaking vanity. It's empty, it's vain, of very little or no value at all. Their right hand is a right hand of falsehood, so you get the idea. But I'm making that point here because that's what's found prior to this expression, I will sing a new song. Verse 10, of course, that followed that, it is he, God, that giveth salvation unto kings, who delivereth David, his servant, from the hurtful sword. So kind of sandwiched in between this thought of singing a new song is the idea of the falsehood, the vanity that would precede the expression, I will sing a new song. And then what would follow is the fact that the Lord would intervene and help his people. In this case, David, who I think is probably the writer of this psalm here. He's saying that it's God that delivers David, his servant, from the hurtful sword. So sandwiched in between this singing a new song is the idea, to make it real simple, the idea of vanity and falsehood. Then the new song would occur, that expression, and then, of course, salvation or deliverance. Now, all that to say this new song, I will sing a new song. Then when you look at the context, what is David talking about? Well, number one, he's not talking about a new doctrine. He's not talking about something new that's going to come up, and thus the new song. And the point I'm making about this is people today want to say, well, there's a new kind of music that's being used in the churches, or there's a new kind. That's really not what's being said here at all. It's just basically saying a new song is just basically another way of saying, based on the same doctrines, based on the same God, based on the same salvation, based on the same truths, based on that which is true, and what would be the opposite of vanity, which would be emptiness and of little value. Is David just simply saying here, or at least the psalmist is simply saying, the new song is just another way of saying, I've got an additional song. I've got another song that basically says, the great things we've always said about God, trying to emphasize the same great things that is God, His character. So this idea of a new song is not some new doctrine, is not some new expression that's totally different from that which has been used before. Again, you look at the book of Psalms here. You're talking about in a timetable as far as that goes. David, just to use his time alone, was about 1,000 years before the birth of Christ. Okay, so 1,000 years before the birth of Christ, his time period, Jesus is literal. Then, of course, referring back to 1,000 years prior to that, the Psalms they would have sung, and of course, any song that would have come up then. Ephesians talks about psalms and hymns and so on, spiritual songs. The point I'm trying to make is there is a movement that's been around for some time. I guess it's always been, but it seems to be, since we're living in this day and age, you've got this supposedly new kind of music that's supposed to be used in the churches, this new kind, and it seems to come with a new doctrine. It seems to have this disconnect from the former truths and from the former character. And I guess that's really the point I'm making here. So you take Jesus' day alone, there was no disconnect from the time period of David's time, 1,000 years prior. Then you go fast forward in our time period, okay? We're about approximately 2,000 years removed even from Jesus' time period, okay? So think about all the songs, and of course all the psalms that would have been used to to express God, of course, using literally the Psalms from the Bible, and then all the songs that would be written by good, godly, spiritual people. Even people from our time period, if you just go back 50 years and think about, was there a disconnect between the time period of our people, our time period, and the years prior to that, and then going all the way back to Jesus' time period and even David's time period. So the point I'm trying to make here is this idea of a new song. That's not new theology. That's not a new character of God. It's not disconnecting from what the character that our people have known before. A new song is another song, an additional song, to talk about the new experiences of God, but not to say that it has not that there's a disconnect between the character of God or his or what he does today in terms of salvation or what have you. So there is no disconnect. I'm just trying to make the point. The new song. Be careful about that. There ought to be songs like the same songs we've sung, but they are new. Just think there was a day when Amazing Grace was new, Blessed Assurance, and all the other hymns we sing, and even the songs we use today. There's great and good and godly songs that have been written in the past year, but they're not disconnected. They're not foreign to. They're welcomed by the same people that would have been the songwriters of the past, from David to Jesus' day to our time period and so on. So this idea of a new song, you got to be careful. People who's trying to introduce new things into the church and to God's people, and they're disconnected from the things that we've known before. That's where we have to be very careful. So I hope you understand what I'm saying today. We hope you have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow, and more than likely we'll have these up in the morning. But thank you for watching these today. We appreciate you very much. Hope you have a great rest of your Wednesday. Hope you have a great Wednesday evening Bible study, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you very much.